hello, and welcome to another brand new edition of our webinar on SME Connect. I welcome you all joining us from all around the world as today we're going to be discussing about the new Nigeria tax law. The new Nigeria tax law. My name is Shotonde Oluwatosin, the convener of SME Connect Nigeria. And we're going to be discussing the understanding the new Nigeria tax law for small businesses. So we're narrowing this down to small and micro businesses, how this new tax law affects them. We all understand what tax is and why it is important for us to pay taxes. However, what is happening in this new terrain, the new tax terrain, starting January 2026, a new tax law is taking effect. And how does this affect your business? How does this affect your micro business? How does this affect your small business and your growing business? We have in our midst a veteran, Mr. Olabode Abiodun Omiyale, and he's a partner at Shola Kende and Co. Chartered Accountants. Mr. Olabode Abiodun Omiyale is a finance and business advisory expert with 16 plus years experience helping companies to raise capital, restructure operations, and achieve sustainable growth. With a strong background across top Nigerian banks and as CEO of Index Managers Professional Services, he has led over 3 billion in successful debt and equity raises. He has managed 300 million plus in investment portfolio and have executed multiple business turnarounds across agriculture, healthcare, commodity.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here. And at this time in our lives right now, we have to really have this conversation. As a professional, I know all around, even from the start of the world, tax has not been easy, right? But it's an obligation we just have to perform. So we'll make it simple today because when we start talking about taxes right now, we might not. I mean, the time allotted will not be enough. Even if we have even if we keep talking about it, we'll talk for throughout our entire time on hand. We'll keep talking about it, but we're going to keep it simple today. Just share the salient point. I mean, that would help us as small business, micro business owners. So we'll go straight into it. Just talk briefly about the recently enacted tax bill that was enacted in June, right? And this is actually shifting the paradigm and setting the pace differently from what we used to know, right? Like we all know, all of us have taken taxes just right with, I mean, without a better word, with levity. But what we are getting from our current day government is that it's time now to take things seriously. And they didn't just want to just take things seriously without also looking at at the side of business. And I can say that, right, most of the pluses in this bill, it's for the small business owners. It's as if the small business owners consulted government and say, hey, we are really groaning, we are dying under the weight of the responsibility around taxes in Nigeria. And I will say that government really listened and made a few changes, right? So we'll really go straight into it. Now, from conversation, people just get even without going deep diving into it, they get overwhelmed because the bill actually it's in 4 parts. There are 4 bills in one. So at times some people say, oh, is it one bill? Then you see some write-ups, you see bills. So let's first demystify that to move forward. There are actually 4 bills, right? But so let's just count them, go through them. So there's what we call the NTA, right? So that's the Nigerian Tax Act, right? 2025. That's one bill out of the four, right? Then we have the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. That's the second bill out of the oh 04. Now, the fourth one is the Federal Revenue Service Establishment Act. So what that is just saying is that, so what we used to know as FIRS, government is saying is going to change name, right? So a law has to establish it, right? That's what that the third bill is all about. Now, the last bill is the Federal Revenue is the Joint Revenue Establishment Act. Now, there's usually a nexus between the federal and the state, right? And that's where what we used to know as the Joint Tax Board. Now, that also is changing its name, right, to revenue because and why this? Now, FIRS has always been about collecting our taxes, but what government is just for proper accountability. Like, okay, let's just have a body that collects all of this tax, all the revenue for federal government. And when we are saying this, there are revenue for states, there are revenue for the federal government. So it's not just for all revenue across the country, it's part of the federal government. So you see the FRS, as we have it from January, collecting monies from the port, our road taxes, whatever is due to federal government, they will be in charge. And right, so that will be able to, it's going to increase accountability. Then the other agencies will be able to focus on what they are supposed to do, right? And that's right. So now, of these four, as small business owners, which are the ones that we should really, in this immediate time, be concerned about? And I will say that's the NTA and the NTAA. Now, of these two, the NTA, see the other two, the one established, we can get to know that one with time. But right now, these first two, we should get ourselves concerned. That's what we should get ourselves acquainted with. Right now, out of these two, which one is more important? And I would say is the NTA, is the Nigerian Tax Act. Now, what's the difference between the two? The NTA is saying, okay, these are the taxes to be paid. By who? Who should pay this tax? How should it be paid? That's entirely what the whole NTA is saying. Now, in terms of administration, which is the second one, the NTA is now saying, okay, if you have concerns, if you have issues, how will these taxes be administered? Right? That's what the NTA is saying. Now, I hope we have a bit understanding about the entire bill right now. So we'll go forward. We'll go further right now to say, okay, what should okay, before we go further, I want to say this now. But the beginning of this year, there's what we have an executive order around withholding tax, changing how withholding taxes are charged in Nigeria. Now, please let's note that, because at the end of this discussion, we will talk around it. We have to now look this withholding tax act. I mean, this withholding tax, what do I call it? The withholding tax was rejigged, let me put it that way, early last year, and it came into force in January. Now, it has a connection with this, so we'll talk about that before, but let's keep that in mind. Now, and for small business, I will say that we have a lot to gain, right? Then we have some responsibility attached, right? Now, for small business, so if you are doing turnover below 100 million, what the law is saying. So it's been like 25 million, but government has looked at inflations and how inflation has really eroded our base. Right now, this has been increased to 100 million naira. So if your turnover is below 100 million, government is saying, okay, the pain of having to render VAT return, paying company income tax, right? Because this requires special skill for you to know how to do it. Now, we have been exempted from that. We will not be to that. And I think that's a plus. So that's one of the things you should expect as a one of the advantages you will get as a small business owner. So you don't have to think about rendering VAT again. Now, company income tax, right? If your revenue is also below, you are not paying any company, any CIT, right, to government. If you are below 100 million naira, you are not paying to government, right? That's that. Now, further, so for micro to to medium, small, medium, we are varying sizes, right? So there is this thing that's also been introduced by the Tax Act. That's the ombudsman, right? Meaning, if you have taxman comes to you, at times, because the tax language is very different. There are a lot of jargons inside it. So now, and it's something that will take away money from your pocket. So an average person will be on the defense when the taxman comes to you. So somebody saying, you have been owing me this much for so long that you are not aware of, you will be on the defense. Right. And again, you don't then have a whole lot about it. So now this office, right, will speak just like a customer service. You can speak to them. They will come to your aid. They will protect you because they know you don't know the law. You don't even know where your rights are, right? Sure. So I mean, by January, the numbers will be rolled out. You have your numbers. So even if you cannot hire somebody like us, you cannot hire a professional, right? This will defend you. And I think that's also, it's just like you going to court. The state will ask you, do you have a lawyer? You have a right to a lawyer? If you don't have it, the state can provide you a lawyer. The same thing is what is being applied. That's also provided for in this act, under the Administration Act, and which I also think is beautiful. You can protect those of us who cannot afford a professional, because I know it's also very expensive to also do that. Now, but so we'll now then go to, but however, there are some what I call some traps. So it's not all that is rosy within the law, right? Because for whom is given, also much is demanded. Now, we are not just there. Now, though you are not to pay taxes, however, you are to file your annual accounts with the Revenue Office. At the end of your financial year, depending on what you have chosen, right, you are to file your accounts with the Revenue Office, meaning, okay, you put your revenue together, you put your costs together. It's self-assessment. Judge yourself the way you think you are, and the government believes that you will say the truth. It's not when you do not say the truth, right? That's when there can be issues in the future. Now, and that's where the big conversation now is: how can we go about really ensuring that you're saying it? Because when you are below 100 million naira, don't forget, one day you will cross it, and your journey to crossing it will later come back to hurt you. So it's how you put it today will affect you tomorrow. And that's why I would say, in as much as as a small business, if you can take the pain to put it together, go into your tax account, fill all, you are fine. You might not even need a professional to do that, right? But the question is, how you put here today when you are below 100, that's when you lay in your bed. So it's coming back to hurt you or to stand against you or for you in the future. And that's why you will need guidance, even now that you are being 100 million. And that's it for right. So without much ado, that's where we want to do more of the work today, to look at what can we start to look at as small business owners. I know some of us, right, we have managed our business in certain way. Our compliance level is it's not significant, maybe zero, some are even zero. Right now, where do we start from today to prepare ourselves towards January? Now, I would like to put it to you that all the exemptions within the law, it's for a limited liability company. So some of us, which is very common amongst us, we run as enterprises. And why are we doing that? And all of us know what we're doing. So, I also know that there's a lot of demand on you as a limited liability company. And that's one of the things the law is trying to reward those who are compliant, right? The law is trying to reward those who are trying to do right. Right, and the law is trying to punish or provide more punitive measure to those who are trying to dodge. Right, a lot of people run businesses with enterprises into billions, right, and they feel just not for any reason, just to avoid taxes. Now, it's going to be different. Even if you run a business in your personal name, right? Now, there's going to be a lot of data mining. There's going to be a lot of intelligence as we move forward, and there's going to be a lot of technology coming into our tax space as we move forward. Now, the area of sorry, no, I did not know. Please write it up for me. We will not have so much of that. Now, for some of us who have an appreciable level of compliance, I mean, we know what the tax pool is. That's the space where business tax accounts, tax issues are managed, right? Before now, if you don't file your VAT, you can easily go to your tax office and beg, and the man will have sympathy. But these days, the system is calculating your penalty. Once the system does not see your return, it calculates, and the government understands that for a small business, because you might not be able to afford that specialized skill. You might not have it, right? And filing VAT as might not be easy, and that's why government is taking it. But government expects you, as you are moving to your 100 of million, as you are making those profit, as you are making those money, make sure you invest some in acquiring the skills that you will need once you cross over. Please, let's note that. Now, so back to the phone, right? So so some of us have that look. So what are we supposed to do? So now, most of us, first of all, the encouragement from this evening is that if you run your business as an enterprise, right, start to think about um, shifting into a limited liability company. Reason: most of these exemptions, right, are for limited liability company and not enterprise. Enterprise is not an entity on its own. It's just you having a trading name. It's just you, like an individual. If I run an account with Abiodun Miali or I run with a name I registered as an individual, it's the same thing. So, meaning that if you run as an enterprise, if your profit is 20 million, if your turnover is 20 million, your profit will be charged. And it will be charged at a tax rate of an individual. Because right now, if you look at the PE, which is also one part, I'm not going to dwell on that, right? Because we are looking at business taxes right now. Now, what you will be seeing going forward is business tax rate will be coming lower. Individual tax rate will be going higher. Reason is the government now understands that doing business is not easy, right? So people should be encouraged to do it. More people should be encouraged to come into it so that you can provide employment, so that the economy can be, driven to success, as against what it used to be, right? Before now, and that's why most people run to enterprise. Individual tax rate has been on the lower side, right, as against the company income tax, right? Now,
Yeah.
so this is being changed right now. Now, so for us looking at calculation, the only person that we expect, right, to probably run business as an enterprise is when you're in a micro space. If you do not project more than a 3 million naira profit at the end of the year, right? Because if you run an enterprise business and you make 3 million naira, your tax rate based on the new law will be around 15%. You will still pay, but we can still say, okay, if you're a micro space, and who are those? You are driving Uber, you are selling, you have a corner shop. Those are the ones that have business running, you run their business based on enterprise. And this advice is based on the future we are going. It's based on how do you plan. We are planning for the future. We are not just looking at today, right? That's why we advise that. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is a lot of us. So we've demystified that. What kind of structure should you run your business going forward, even as a small business? We are saying, based on what the law says, or where and we are being driven, where it's going, the national tax policy, where we are being driven to, so that you can get most of these benefits, right? Just do your business as a limited liability company. That's one. Then two, even some of us who have been doing business before now, right? Some of us do not even have a tax account, which is also an infraction under the law, right? Whether even a business name or a limited liability company. What the law says is that if you immediately as you're starting, a lot of us we just so quick to we register a company, we open a bank account, and we go. But forget, as you're opening a bank account, you should also open a tax account.
A
You
tax
should
account, yeah.
take your details and go to the tax. Oh, this is a new business. I'm starting business right now, and these are my details. This is where my office is. These are the directors. This is us. This is what we do. And they open an account for you. Now, if there are exemptions within the law that you qualify for, right, you will get it, right? So now, a lot of us have not done that. That's an infraction. And why are we saying this? These infractions should not follow us into the new year because the penalties are not small anymore, right? Yeah, the penalties are small. So now, so this is the position. Is either as you commence or no longer than 6 months after you have incorporated, you must, even if you have not started doing business, let government know. Oh, this business, we've registered it, but we have not commenced business. Let it be like that. But if you don't do that after 6 months, or if you commence business and you don't do it, now you pay. It's now 100,000, and for it's 100,000 upon default from January. And for as long
Wow.
as you leave it undone, every other month they keep charging you 50,000 or 50,000. So anytime government gets to know and government finds you, right, you will pay. And that's why when audits happen or you are being caught in it looks like you want to collect all of this money for me. Most of the time the taxes are negligible, but the penalties are very huge, and that's why we don't want you that happening to you. You get, just imagine if you're a small business owner and you have all of these exemptions and you do not file that your single annual return government has asked you to do, right? 6 months after the end of your accounting year, right? Your penalty is 100,000 naira. And for every month that it remains on file, do you get? So the first month that you did not file, that became late, government says you are going to pay 100,000. So the second one, they check you again, you've still not come to do it, 50,000. The third one, 50,000. Then they keep accumulating. If you come after 2 years, they just calculate all of that for you. I mean, for what else?
And that runs into millions already
That
for
runs into millions.
penalties.
So now, quick one, let's just run it because of time, right? So that people can also ask questions, right? So a few things you should then know. Now, we've talked about what kind of business structure, we've talked about once you have that business, you choose the right business structure before you start your business, or even if you have not started, if 6 months after you have registered that business, let the tax office know. Please let them know. It saves you a whole lot, right, as a small business, because it's hard to make that money. So you shouldn't just trade away in penalties and fines. Now, the next thing we have here is that now it comes to taxes is record keeping. Keep your records, even if you cannot get an accounting software, right? Let your expenditure be clearly stated on your bank statement. Let it be clear. Let it be that clear. So once if there comes, we sales of this, we bought paper. Let it be clear on your bank statement. That can be also be taken. I mean, for a small business, right? That can also be taken as record keeping, right? So we are not encouraging that. What we're just saying is that it's normal. You have your appropriate, maybe a small accounting system, do it. Maybe a small QuickBooks package, do it. But if at all that becomes very hard for you to do, right? In your bank statement, ensure if you take Uber, put it there, transport to clients, right? Transport to site, entertainment to guests, let it be clearly defined so that when the taxman comes and opens you and provides your bank statement, they can really sum things up. If you do marketing expenses, let it be narrated. So, and that's where we say, keep a detailed record of your business. It might not be the big on that level, please do. Now, when you now keep this detailed record, review your numbers periodically. Now, you can be doing something consistently wrong. You are concerned about doing it, but it's still wrong. So we encourage people, right? Even if, and this has been practical as small business. Even so, if there's anybody you should have as a friend right now as a small business owner, have one accountant as a friend, have one lawyer as a friend. Even when you cannot buy the service of a professional, right? Have one. If we all look at our families, we'll see one we can lean on. Now, if you have kept the record January to March in a certain way, let the person look at it and interpret it, because you can be doing something and you are doing it wrongly and you do not know. And ignorance, so tax is law, ignorance would not be accepted. So we recommend that too. Let them check totally. So if it's wrong, the person then tells you, oh no, change this, then you get better and better that way, right? So that then we also go back to say, now we've advised that you have a limit, but separate yourself from the business, yourself from your business. I've seen where business owners, right, hold a card on their company account. See, you are different from your company. So they go to clubs, they swipe their business card. They go to this one, they swipe their business card. They go here. See, the tax man would take away this money that you spend on your business to the one you spend, to the ones you spend on any other thing that has no relation to the business. Please, let's get to do that. So I just quickly run on all of that so that we can ask questions. Now, where it is challenging, you can outsource some accounting functions. Do you get 1 minute? You can outsource some accounting functions, some core functions. For example, we know that payee, right, could be a whole huge task on you, right, as a business owner, right, assessing your employees to task. Okay, you can still see me, right? Assessing your, fulfilling payee obligations can be demanding. So what we're saying that you can outsource some things. So, oh, manage my employees for me. Do you get? You just pay. A whole lot of big companies do it. It calls like things that are not the core of your business. You don't want to be distracted about them, right? You just give it to somebody else to do. For example, instead of me managing 10 staffs, being responsible to LRS, I can look at this. Hey, you employ them, you own all my staff. So if the whole payment to them every month is 2 million naira, I'll just pay to you. That company will deal with that. You can look at that. It also makes your life easy, right? It reduces the burden of taxes you have to feel, because even paying on its own, right? Certain, as a small business owner, we have a lot. We wear different caps. Today we are the CEO. Tomorrow we are the driver. Another day we are the dispatch man. We are the procurement guy. I understand that, right? It might be a whole lot for us to now sit back at the end of the month. Even when you sit, you want to do it, and the next customer calls you. Maybe you've been pitching this customer for so long, and he calls you, "Hey, Biodu," and that you will most likely abandon that thing, even though you know it's important. Because first responsibility we have as CEO is how to ensure strategy that will generate revenue. So if you sit down and look at that, you can outsource some, take them away, right? Don't bother. So somebody else will bother about that. Right. Now, one big thing again, yeah, okay, in from January, right? One thing we should all be very careful about is whom we do business with. It's going to impact the taxes we pay. We are not expected to do business with those who do not have a team, who are not tax compliant. So we're talking to ourselves today, and we're encouraging us to be tax compliant. You cannot be tax compliant and go and do business with somebody who is not. So what that means that the person, whatever taxes is due to government on that transaction, the person is not going to pay it, right? So the government is charging us with that responsibility, and there's a huge fine on that, which is very, very. I think it's about. Let me just check. It's about 200,000 naira, right? When you willingly choose a vendor who is not responsible to the government, who is not registered, who has no account with the government. It means it's hard. It's difficult for the government to be able to lay their hands on them and demand for their taxes. Do you? So we need to look at that, right? Now, so again, one other thing. So how much of time? So again, create contracts. Now, we were going to advise 100 million seems like a lot, but before you know it, looking at the inflation, looking at how price of things have gone up, 100 million can get exhausted in no time. And before you say Jack Robinson, you're on the other side of things, right? Now, so what we're saying that is that guide that your 100 million jealously. And I'll quickly give an example here to take it home. Now, look at the mechanics. You have a car, you call a mechanic, mechanic A, mechanic B. And the mechanic say, "Oh, sir, your brakes are not good. You need a new brake pad, right? And we need to buy a brake pad." But one can say, "Please just give me 10,000 naira. I will sort it." Do you get? Now, he has collected 10,000 naira. In that scenario, the man's revenue is 10,000 naira, right? Now, second scenario, another mechanic can come. You need a brake pad, right? Okay, say how much is it? You say, let me call Adipo, or let me call this. The guy said brake pad is 6,000 naira. Then the man will say, "Oh, share," which is meaning my own fee, 4,000 naira. Now, what the man is simply telling you is that I'm not taking responsibility. Give me your 6,000 naira. I will go help you to buy the brake pad, and that's you, right? My own money is 4,000 naira. So in that kind of case, the revenue is 4,000 naira. Now, who would exhaust 100 million naira in no time? It's so clear. Now,
Mechanic A.
the
Yeah.
mechanic A. Now, because what the law takes mechanic A position is that there's something in finance we call asymmetry. It did not open up on what the cost of brake pad is. It just said, "Give me 10,000, I'll fix your problem." Now, both of them will most likely arrive at the same profit. But the way we interpret both of them are different. So in mechanic A, if you just do a small P&L now, mechanic A will have revenue 100,000, cost of sale. It will go eventually buy a brake pad. We will now put brake pad 6,000 naira. Then gross profit, it will now be 4,000 naira. But in mechanic B, it will just have professional fee 4,000 naira. Do you get now? And that's why we say guide your revenue jealously. Before you know it, so one would
Mm,
have crossed
mm,
into 100 million naira in no time, but they don't want to be a joint benefit, and you'll be growing more.
mm,
Can you say? So
mm,
yeah. So we talked about we encourage, right. Then next thing we say, in whatever you do, be consistent. In the big companies, we have what we call finance policy. Most SMEs don't have it, but the way you can create a resemblance of it is that be consistent in what you do. Because when the tax man comes and today you apply, like, so for example, what I just said, today you do mechanic A, tomorrow you do mechanic B, and you're doing it in and out like that. It convinces the tax man, and the tax man has what we call the power of best of judgment. If it's not clear, he uses whatever he thinks, and like we all know, he would interpret things to benefit himself because he also wants to make money. Do you get? So we say be consistent, right? So we said to manage all your banking operations well. Then we also encourage for small business owners. There is no reason multiplying bank accounts for, because the more bank accounts you have, right? Even if you are going to need a professional, the more you'll be charged, and that's it. If you give jobs to us and you're coming to me and you say, "Hey, my bank account, I have 6 bank accounts," you're going to make me do work across 6 different banks. Unlike somebody comes to me and say, "Oh, 2 bank accounts," right? It's easier. So the multiple of accounts you keep, right? Now, because we are also looking at complying and at what cost also, right? So we encourage that you don't just duplicate accounts all over, right? So that's it. And if you don't duplicate it beyond cost, it also helps you to track the usage of your account, the usage of your turnover. Because for a small business owner, that limit becomes is something precious to you. Because if you don't manage it well, you cross the 100 million and the duty falls on you. I can tell you for free, it is not easy. Value added tax is the most important tax to the government, right? And complying with it is not cheap, right? Not even now that the whole thing around it has changed, but we will not go into VAT issues. It's a deeper tax, right? Right. So we've talked about it. Ensure you have a tax account. We've talked about it. File your annual return. Now, one very important thing as SMEs, as we all get back home, get to business tomorrow, one thing I want us to do, turnover alone does not define us by the law. Assets also define us. You might be earning 20 million naira in a year, but if your asset is more than 250 million naira, you are not small. So you might want to go back and sell off some of your assets. Do you get?
wow.
You might want to go and sell off some of your assets today and say, "Okay, I'll be leasing them. I don't want these assets in my books." Now, these are technical ways of doing things, of avoiding taxes rather than evading them, right? I can now decide that, oh, I have this vehicle and it's costing me, it's taking me close to 250 million that will make me lose all of this benefit. I can sell it off. Then we'll be taking Uber. We don't have that kind of books again, right? Nobody will take you, will hold you. You have to look at which one is it for you. So from tomorrow, to those of listening now, you have to review. Don't just say it's 100 million, it's 100 million, it's 100 million, 100 million turnover. Now, you could see a small business just have one particular asset that is of, just imagine a new pure water business. Somebody doing pure water. I know they have a lot of infrastructure they have to put in there. And before they know it, they are about 250 million. And they have sold 1 million, 2 million in water. So please, we also have to look at that. We have to sit down and decide on what to do. So that's
We're going to take questions. Question and answer session is coming soon. So please be typing your questions, put them on the chat box so that once it's question and answer time, we're going to get to them immediately. And then our facilitator will be able to assist us to demystify them and so that you will provide clarity and we can understand them. I know you have a lot of questions. Please put them in the
okay.
chat
All right.
box. One
So
of the
yeah, because of the
questions that I
questions,
also have,
we almost
one of the questions I have also is that say I will not kukuma go and be collecting the business money in my personal account. Don't
okay.
answer
Okay,
yet.
we'll get
When
to
it's
that. We'll
question
get
and
to
answer
that.
time, you will settle it.
We'll get to that. Okay, we're almost done here. So
Yeah.
now, okay, about 2 or 3 more, right? We'll talk about now. I said also something to this to people, right? Now, when the taxman comes to you, don't ever keep quiet on the taxman. Do you get? If the tax man writes you, write him back. If the tax man says this, respond. So I've seen a lot of small business owners, say, I'm not going to answer them. You cannot fight, you cannot win that way, right? So we usually ensure, right, you respond. If you do not know what, and that's why I said, right, if you have an accountant or a taxman by your side, right, ensure share with them. Don't ever keep quiet on the taxman, please and please don't ever, right? Speaking to them will help you see clarity, right? And I can attest to it. The FIRS and the State Internal Revenue Services, they are doing a lot to change. I know a lot of us might have one or two experiences, but as long as we are still doing business, right? Please don't let us keep quiet on them. Now, the next one is object clause. I've seen a lot of SMEs, right? Decide, and what we call object clause is what the CAC has empowered your company to do. Right. I've seen a lot of businesses mix, hey, they want to register one company and will do 1,001 thing. Now, see, you are creating issues for your business. And that's where tax planning comes. See, for businesses who have different tax applications, right, and you model them up. Now, if you're now unfortunate as SMEs, which I know most of us don't really do, interpreting. So I have a farm. No, I do printing. Then I still do consulting, and I'm using one. Right now, printing, right, allows you to claim certain cost, because if you want to print, you buy papers, you buy this, you buy that, you take it away. Because now, if you're still using the same thing for consulting is a fee based. They will charge you, right? Now, for now, you've now registered a company that has multiple object clause. Now there's a 20 million. Unfortunately, no narration. If I'm the tax man, I will say that 20 million naira is for consulting, because I will
Consulting.
tax you more. It gives me the latitude to tax you more because you have failed in your responsibility to account, right, appropriately. Then you are, to my judgment, if you're at that point that I've come and you have failed to self assess yourself, now that I've come for you, you're not telling me, this 20 million naira is for printing. You have lost those rights. But however, if your modus operandi, your object clause is just printing, right? The taxman cannot apply any judgment to it. That's the only thing you do. So we advise people. Now, we know that an average SME owner has about 3 businesses. I mean, from experience, from industry, he has about 3 businesses they do. Nobody relies on one. Now, and if you then model the 3 together in one, your chances of crossing your 100 million limit in no time is very high. And I look at it. If you can find yourself a good firm that can help you return, the only option at a very cheap level rate, I mean affordable, let me put it like that. Sorry, it should have been an affordable rate. Now, if at least at this point, if you still have 3 entities, right, that you can manage, because you cannot compare the ease of you not having to pay CIT, pay render VAT, to having 3 companies and just filing on them annually. But what we are saying now, I think I brought it home. Let's rethink the habit, right, of one company doing a whole lot of things, not just on the ground of crossing 100 million alone, but on the part that you can set yourself up, right? And that's it in terms of taxes, right? So don't keep quiet on the tax man, streamline. So, right. So I think, sir, we should, if we can keep going on these tax issues now and all over, but I think we should allow people ask questions. There are a whole lot we can talk about. We can't go into the depth. So there's a capital gain tax side of things, as might affect businesses when they small businesses when they sell. There's an improvement in that. Small business have been exempted also, right? Capital gains tax used to be 10%, right? Now it's 0 now, but they've increased. It has gone up to about as high as 30, right? For larger business, that's also, I mean, that's also there. We look at VAT, because I know some of us small business, some of us are very close to our 100 million already, right? So we should already start learning what will happen, right? So again, things around how do you claim your VAT back? I mean, before now, you can't claim. So now, we have capital allowance, right? So if you do not pay VAT on any asset, right, you can't claim capital allowance. So it's steep, right? So for those who probably are close to their 100 million, right, they can. I would encourage that you seek, you start to work with an accountant. See, don't just feel that the cost of getting an accountant is so expensive that you start building up liability on the side of government. Now, there are a number of accountants right in there. Find one that is affordable. See, it's better
Great.
to get guidance.
Great.
That's it.
Great. Thank you
Okay,
so much, Mr. Viali. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
you're
Thank you
welcome,
for
sir.
demystifying this. Now we have gone to the crux, the area where we have the big work to do, questions and answers. Uh,
Okay,
so, uh, um, so it, this is the first time, I must say, this is the first time I'm hearing good news about this new tax bill, the tax law, because what I've been hearing over time has been discouraging, and a lot of people are scared about what what have they come with again? Have they decided to come and tax everybody and pursue all of us away from this country with taxes? But now, what after this entire conversation, I can see that the threshold has been shifted from 20 million now to 100 million, which gives a lot of other small and micro businesses precisely, room and space to be able to act and
yeah,
do their businesses.
you're correct.
However, so one of the things in which I am very much certain in which micro business owners do is that they collect money in their personal account. That some of them could have registered a business, like for example, someone has registered a business in 2024, but I'm just selling my things online, so I just tell people pay the money into my personal account, I confirm payment, and then you take your product and the rest of it. So in 2026, January 2026, how does this affect a business owner who is not using a business account but using a personal account? That's the first question.
All right, thank you. So if you using your personal account, right, what it means is that whatever profit you make, so you do not get all this benefit, all these exemptions, right? So if you're a limited liability, we said it. If you are a limited liability, whatever money you make, right, government says keep it, right? Use it, use it to grow. But this is for limited liability companies, right? Like I said, if you are using your personal name or a business name, you are an individual, you'll be assessed to tax as an individual, you'll be facing the state government where you operate. Do you get? So you don't have any exemptions. And right now, individual tax rates have gone up. So meaning you'll be paying more. And that's why we've done a bit of check, right? Now that, okay, if anybody should be using individual names right now, it should be the very, very micro, because it's also in the law, in the new law now, that if you have 800,000 will be exempted from taxes. That's on, I mean, the personal, don't let us mix up the personal um tax right now, not the company tax that we have been focusing on, right? So the woman selling kerosene by the she also can use her personal name. The butcher who sells a bit of meat here and there, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, maybe the profits might not be more than 2 million naira, right? Do you get? By the time he claims exemption, he might look at, oh, the cost of having to file right at the end of the year is, by the time you put into it, oh, let me pay it as taxes. So for us, looking at that, if you have been doing that, right, it is time you change. I mean, you're putting money in your personal name. The only one I can make exemption for, if you are very the nano self, you are very petty trade, right? That's the one you should. And see, that's part of tax planning. We want you not to be successful today, but into the future. And what makes people tilt towards individual is because the state government have been sleeping for so long, and people hide here and there. Now, with the Joint Revenue Service establishment, but there will be a greater nexus between state government and federal government. So nobody is going to hide. Now, now where we are also going to, what we used to call tax identification number is now becoming a tax identity. And where we are going to right now is that for individuals, your national identification number will end up becoming your tax ID. Do you get? So whatever liability, yeah,
My
that's the
NIN.
Yeah, that's the journey.
Oh,
That's the journey. That's the journey, right? So one time they look at you, all your basic, everything you have is flashing on you wherever you go. So
wow.
that's it. That's the
Wow.
journey. So right now, you see somebody working in Lagos State. You can so some people can be living Lagos State, then they will jump to Kaduna to go and say that's where I live because they know that Kaduna has not woken up, right, to taxes. They'll go and do tax clearance there. They'll go and lie to Kaduna because Kaduna does not also have data. They don't have intelligence to know what's happening in Lagos. The man, you can see somebody having series of tax addition number in Lagos, in Ibadan, in Osun State. In then our government too are culpable too. Like someone like me, I've got a farm somewhere in Osun State. I want to do something there. I have a Lagos tax clearance. They said no, I must do Osun State tax clearance. Because of that, I have Osun State
Oshun.
tax
Yeah.
clearance. I
Yeah.
grew up in Ibadan. I
Yeah.
have some interest
Yeah.
in Ibadan. I want to do something in Ibadan. No, you must still pay tax in Ibadan. I have a state tax ID. So if I want, so that is that. Now, but
So the crux of it now is that you have to move to a business account, most especially a limited liability account, so that you can
to
take advantage of that
of
100
all of these
million,
exemptions, all these
and then you
advantages.
exempt.
Yeah,
Else, you are going to pay higher taxes as an
as an
individual,
individual,
from the which
simple.
ranges about 15%, depending on the entire
15 to
amount. That
25%.
is
Yeah,
quite understandable.
right.
Yeah, quite understandable. Now, I have another question in which I have, which is also related to the first one. Why many people also stick to that individual account? Because state governments have been sleeping, understood, and there's going to be synergy now. But okay, so for example, some people sell products. They are traders, and they sell products that those products are high in cost, but their profit margin is very minute. So they make very small profit. Now, if they now cross into the limited liability business and then use their business account, which example can I make? Let's say, for example, someone who is selling doors for
Okay.
houses. Those doors, let's say, for example, the selling price is 80,000 naira. From interactions, I hear that their profit is about 4,000 naira or 5,000 naira for one. So, but for a value of like 80,000 naira, before you know it now, it sells maybe $1,000 in a year. He has definitely crossed perhaps that threshold, but his profit is very minute. How does that particular business then position to explain that, okay, this is the turnover in which I have gotten this year? Yes, but this is my profit. And I believe that the tax is meant to be charged based on the profit, not on the entire turnover. I don't know if you understand my question.
Okay. I'll put it to you. Nobody charges taxes on turnover. Do you get? Nobody.
Great.
Nobody
Yeah.
charges. And
Yeah.
that's why we also said keep your records well. See, what the tax law even says right now, if you start a new business, you have okay, how do I put it? Okay, well, it has been abolished though before now. So there's something we used to call minimum tax. It's not going to exist. And that's whether you make money, you make profit, or you don't make profit. You must pay this minimum. It used to be there. That's one of the good things this bill has brought. Do you get now? But simple. Let's put it straight. If we tax the government tax profit, government does not tax revenue. Do you get? So like the man who sells doors, right? Is you sell door 80,000. How much did you buy the door? 76,000. Gross profit 4,000. Do you get selling and distribution expenses? You will take it. Marketing cost, you remove it. It's whatever is now left that government will now look and say, let us tax it. And where we are going now is that so it's part of the plan. This corporate tax is not even in bands right now. I think 250, right? I've crossed now to 250 is 20%, then above that 30%, and this will continue to go down, right? I mean, it's being phased down. I mean, reduced. That's corporate tax. So simply put, nobody taxes revenue, sir. It's profit, and when you make a loss, right, that you can even relieve losses. Do you get? When you make a loss, and this comes with understanding. In the future, when you then make profit, right, the loss of previous year, you can relieve it out of the future profit, right? before you now pay. Do you get what I'm saying, sir? Right? If this year now you make 200 million naira loss, and next year you now make more, there's a portion. It's not like you will not relieve everything one time. Do you get? Oh, a percentage of last year's loss that you made, take it out of this profit before you now get taxed. Then the rest, you move it forward. Then when you make profit again, you allow you relieve it. Right. So, but yes, there's a maximum number of years
Great,
you can carry it forward. So, yeah. So those are
great,
there.
great,
Nobody taxes revenue. Government does not tax
great,
revenue.
great. That is the verity. I know that many people are confused, and that is why they run away from taxation and keeping their record and letting government to see this record because they believe that, oh, if I show to them that I actually made 500 and something million in revenue this year, that means my tax is going to be huge. So you just heard it from the
And
expert. What you need
no,
to do is to do your documentation, right? And then be able to separate it, your expenses, cost of goods, and then to your profits. And then it is based on your profits that you are paying the company income tax on. And you can also declare loss depending on how good or how the year has been. And the previous year's loss can also be taken off from future profits. I mean, the taxation, there's a way in which you can counterbalance this entire thing. Now, this
yeah,
takes
correct.
us to the next question, which has to do with documentation. I've heard it from a couple of tax consultants. Personally, I have a tax consultant for one of the business in which I run, and the tax consultants will continually tell me that collect invoices from your vendors, collect invoices from your vendors. These things that you bought, collect invoices, collect receipts of payment. Okay, I wouldn't say, I don't like, for example, okay, I've collected invoices from someone I bought something of millions from, of thousands, and the rest of it. But there are some other people who will just come, maybe like a regular carpenter just came to do a minor repair in the office. This man, I can't collect invoice. The man not even gets paper to tear that invoice for me. But they always tell me that we should write requisition slip, requisition form, that we need to have that in the office as a structure, that they have to fill a requisition form and sign it. I want you to share some more insight on this so that other people can also benefit and understand the importance of those expense sheets, those receipts, invoice, and
Okay.
requisition forms.
Okay. So, like I said at the beginning, tax is law, tax is document, right? If you are not anything that is not written in tax was not said, and everything that was not written is what did not happen. Once that one happens, you give the taxman the ability to use best of judgment. So, a few ways we can do things when we are doing. I mean, largely our educational level, our informal industry is very high, and the government also recognizes that, but there are ways around it. So, first of all, them is the use of your petty cash very well in your business, right? And so when you do it, even if you are doing with Baba Kinikon that is not well learned, right? Let him write down and let him sign something off. Even in the banks, they allow thumbprint, right? And that's why we said it. In whatever manner you have been doing that, be consistent about it. So for example, that too. So you have your petty cash, maybe money you moved for your operations. I'll take it home very well. So I have a processing business where we do food processing, right? So the warehouse, I mean, that's one place we deal with the blue collar people very well, right? So they have what they spend every week on all of these things, right? So yeah, but it's not all true. You will not be able to get documents. So as much as the one you can get, then the ones you are not getting. So meaning, oh, there's a payment. So once you have that, there's a petty cash expense voucher too. So meaning you have released money to your accountant, then your accountant petty cash voucher. So he wants to go and say, okay, who is he giving the money to? Right? Who is he giving? And this money also, um as he's spending it, right, he puts it in the petty cash analysis book, right? If you're a small, is they sell it all over in major market, right? Even if you can't keep Excel, they can bet a bet. You write it down what you use it for, and see. I tell you, if you are consistent about the application, right, the taxman will not say no to it. It's not being consistent about your practice, right, that the taxman will not start having issues. So we are consistent about it, right? The taxman will do. So you have your core payment voucher and your petty voucher. Now, but as we move on right now, for your big vendors, do you get right? Please ensure that they have a tax ID before you do. So the invoices or the payment vouchers aren't just they will not just be enough right, as we move on in 2026, right? The question is, did you do it somebody who is registered, right? And that's where we are going to right now. Government does not want to lose 10 kobo.
Okay. Okay, so let us now clarify this part. You mentioned it earlier on and you mentioned it right now. Be careful who you do business with. Are you doing business with somebody who is registered? That's someone who his business has TIN, yeah, the tax
Tax ID.
identification number. So how do I do it? For example, I want to repaint my office. It's going to cost about 1.7 million. That's the cost of the paints plus the workmanship and everything. So how do I do it? Do I need to go and get a painter who, when I'm getting vendors for painting, do I need to ensure that, okay, this painter has an invoice and then he has a tax identification number written on it? Or how do I balance this up?
Okay, so I want to remind us. So even this condition is not new. It has always been with us, right? So in the comma, it's there how a receipt should look like or an invoice should look like. All invoices from anybody should carry their tax identification number. It's been in the law way back, right? So it must be there, right? Then you also want to know whether it's a small business that you will not take withholding tax from them. They must have a tax clearance. But at the very basic, right? They must have a tax identification number. Then so prior to now, once you complete your account, so it's not just TIN alone. Once you complete your account opening at the Federal Inland Revenue Service, there's a certificate you usually get, right, which shows your registration status. So some people even go behind just to get TIN, right, just to be able to open a bank account. Do you get? They don't have the proper account. They don't have the setup because what we call the proper account for us, and this by the definition of FIRS, Federal Revenue Services Establishment Act, right? What you're supposed to do, you bring your CSC document, you bring means of education of your directors, you bring your office utility bill, where is your business, so that they can find you. You provide your emails, and you bring all of those, and they set you up. That's it, right? Now, upon that, once registration, you get a certificate for that. Do you get now? And that's what, because somebody can also give you a thing and really they don't know him anyway, they don't know where he is, he doesn't have account, right? So, but at least when they are submitting their invoices, let them come with your thing. With your thing, you can verify it whether they real or not. But if you want to go a step further, right? If it's a business like you must have filed your return and open and go. And really, like we said, below 100 million, you're not doing anything. Just file it and generate your tax plan. You don't even need anybody. If you come to me, I can put you through. You can know what to do. Just populate it. Oh, this is your tax pro account. Just at the end of your financial year, revenue 2 million. This cost of sale, do salary, this, everything. But once you do it, the following that same time, you generate your class clearance and you're gone. You don't need anybody.
Great.
So that's it.
Great. Beautiful. Beautiful. Before we go further, I would like to remind us that let us click on the subscribe button for this channel. Let us also click on the thumbs up, the like button, because if you are not following us, you might not get notifications sometimes again whenever it is that we have another webinar coming up. I believe this has been insightful. You are learning from this. So click on that thumbs up button, click on that subscribe button so that you can get notifications some other times when we are also going to have another webinar. Now back to our questions. So to corroborate on what you just said, yes, recently I just registered a new business and I had to go through that entire process of going to the FIRS, submitting the certificate, CAC, submitting every other document that has the shareholders on it, submitting proof of address and very many other documents, and then a certificate was issued. And then based on that, they can create a tax pro
Account
mass
for you. You
account
get your
in which I
login.
can monitor from
What's
my hand
happening?
and I can log
If you
in,
are
I
owing
can
government, you
follow
see
up
you are owing
and
government. If you have any
receive it.
applications outstanding, you
Exactly.
see VAT is outstanding, this is outstanding.
Yes.
It
Yes.
tells you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's that
Yes.
simple, right?
Yes.
Well done,
Yes.
sir.
Even when a company thank you. Even when a company that I do charge tax and then they do withholding tax on it, when they remit it, I'm going to see it on that tax pro
You see your credit on it.
account
Oh,
in
you
my
have this credit.
login. And then
Your returning
yes,
credit is your
yes, I
money,
got
so
this
you can
credit. And
spend.
the beautiful part, yeah, The beautiful part of that credit is that I can also use it to offset some of my debts with
Yeah, yeah.
government
In the future.
when I'm doing, yes, in the future when I'm doing my accounting and the rest of it. I think I'll just think it's important for us as business people to keep records. Records is very important. Just like our facilitator said, even if the barest minimum you can do is on your narration on your account when you are doing those transfers.
Start
Put
from that.
those
Start from
details
that point.
so that when you now eventually have to consult an accountant, whether it's even an intern accountant, whether it's someone who is a professional, whether they can follow up back on that and then generate your profit and loss account for you. Then from there, that is where it is easier for you to say, this is what we have declared as profit and which the tax is going to be paid on.
Yeah, okay.
Another question in which I have, or it's more of an observation. There is this tax law 2022, Startup Act tax law 2022, the Startup Law 2022, which gives businesses the opportunity that if you have registered on that particular website, startup.gov.ng, if you have registered on that website as a startup, there are some requirements in which you have to meet up with. And if you are registered as a startup, you have to meet up with those requirements. You have to meticulously fill that form on the website startup.gov.ng. Is the Startup Law Act of 2022. I attended night concert events sometimes this year, and the Startup Act was also mentioned. And the Director General also came and also emphasized on this, that this is an opportunity for startups to take advantage of. However, I'm not the expert here. I don't know if there has been an overjig of this based on this new tax law that has just been passed, which will start and will take effect from 2026. I'm sure that over time we're going to find out. But I believe even pending that time, I would recommend that if you run a startup and is newly registered, go to that website, startup.gov.ng, look at the requirements if you can meet up with it, register, put it there so that you can at least be exempted for 3 years for tax as tax holiday. Now, back to our webinars and questions and answers. What would you recommend business owners, sir, that immediately as we're leaving this webinar, action plan, what they should go and start doing? Like from next week,
From
this
next
is
week.
what they should start doing.
Okay,
Yes.
so thank you so much. Right. So as we step out of here, right, the first thing you get to ask yourself, this business I am running, is it if it's you've been using a limited liability company, right? Before now, I mean, I'll divide this into two. If you're using a limited liability company from now, go and check your status, get an accountant or go into the tax office. If you have not done an account with tax office before, get that one sorted. Know what your tax status is, right? And the only way you can really know right now is you might really need to work with an accountant really to help you check it, because we understand that you have your business has to keep running, so that you don't go into the new year with that, because the penalties will not be something easy. At least if you know where you fall, right, the doctor will then be able to guide you of what are the solutions. We cannot say this is what your solution will be, right? I think that is way to go. Now, if you have been a business using your individual businesses, right, and you'll be using an individual account or enterprise, and you are small to medium, recommendation is get a proper limited liability account registered. Some cases you should be able to upgrade your enterprise into a limited liability account, right? But subject to have you been filing your annual returns, which is one thing. It's not. It's part of regulatory, but it's not called taxes. We want to also encourage us to put it together. Those we work with for We look at all of those together for them, your CAC handle. So yeah, upgrade it to a limited liability company, and that's what's going to be good for you. And you start to do the right thing. Get an account. I've said it again. Then get an accountant to work with. So it's a setup, really, right? Saying I will do all by myself. Do you get? Even as a businessman, if you take taxes out of it, you are overwhelmed already. Now, as
Very
if
true.
you're overwhelmed already. Now you want to add. All I would just say to you is find an affordable tax person, even if you cannot do a professional, right? Someone that can give you, as your business is growing, someone that can give you that support. It might be your friend who is working as an accountant in one company. And I tell people, right, if you search you very well, right, there will be one around you. You went to school with some people, you graduated, you have friends, you go to clubs, you have friends, right? A whole lot. So look for one. They would. So like for me, right, and a few business where I've sat or where I sit currently. I have friends into. I'm not an IT person, but I've got friends who help me when it comes to IT related, where I cannot pay. To get, or even when I want to hire an IT person, I need somebody on my board to help me look at it. I call them in. So we can all do that. Pending when our business grows to a point we can afford. But don't let us take the gamble. Do you get? These are some of the things we've said here. Some of us, that's what we live by. That's your China you go. That's your things. That's what you do every day. This is what we do every day. So we will be better off at it. Do you get? So
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
setup thinking that I will do it all by myself. Do you get? And that's the net rate. It's a setup, but look for someone else. Look for a friend to support you. So those are the two ways I would advise, right?
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
Yeah. Great. Great. To corroborate what he just said, for one of the businesses that I operate, I'm meant to pay VAT every month, and it is that VAT filing is headache, and we are running every time to meet up with that date so that it doesn't go, because we don't want to pay fines for not complying at the end of the day. Eventually, I tried it for the first 1 month, but that thing is confusing. It's so confusing. I had to hire a tax consultant to do that monthly, and then the tax consultant also assist and recommend every time when we are doing anything wrong with our bookkeeping so that we can be right on track. There was even a time in which the tax office came. We filed after filing. They accepted just a month after they came back and they brought huge bill and they were saying they wanted to counter it and blah, blah, blah. Luckily that we had our record and we had the tax consultant on our side who was able to sit them down, explain. So everything that they came with, and then we explained, we gave our own counter books and everything, and the whole thing died down. If not, the game could have happened. So my recommendation also, just like yes said, is have somebody on your corner. These things you cannot add it to your headache. Have somebody on your corner who you can run to, who you
You,
can call, who you
you
can
cannot
say,
fail.
help me,
It's a lot.
assist me to do this. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
So if you have someone on your corner, beautiful. That is beautiful. But if you do not have, Stormy Ale is here and his
Oh
firm
no,
is willing
oh,
and
I
ready
mean, we'll be
to.
glad to. We understand it, what it is,
Yeah.
and one thing that stands out that we've grown with a number of businesses, right? We look at potentials.
Okay.
We wait for we wait. We'll wait for you. We'll grow with you. We'll nurture you. We'll give you, and that's it for us.
Great.
First thing we do is, even when you come to us, we want money, but that's not it. It's solving your problem. When your problem gets solved and you're
Yeah.
at peace, you will not. Nobody, everybody that gets
Yeah.
value. One thing I love about Nigerians and any
Yeah.
other person, I think generally, if value is placed on the table, you know, people are
Yes.
willing to pay. Do you get? And we
Yes.
know
Yes.
that. So,
So, sir, we would like you to drop your contact details. Please, you can mention it on this live chat on this live conversation, whether phone number or email or any way in which you want to be contacted. Would also type it on the comments also section so that people who can also get to see it later. We'll also drop it on our WhatsApp channel, which is a funnel to this place. So on
okay.
these three avenues, we'd like you to drop the contact details. You can mention it right now so that people can be
Okay.
able to
So,
use it to contact
right.
you. And
Right.
that
So
would
there
be
are
it.
two emails I'll drop. You can send emails. So there's tax at indexmanagers.com.ng, right? Right. And you can send to info at indexmanagers.com.ng, right? Then my own personal email is aomiyale at indexmanagers.com.ng, right? So before, let me just do a bit of connection, right, between index managers and Shola Kende, based on which the host introduced us. So in our business, right,
Yeah.
we have engagements that are statutory, right? Like audit and assurance, statutory audit, right? Which is deeply regulated by ICANN, right? So and that you has to be it has to be conducted by somebody certified by ICANN. Then you have the general consultation. You want to raise money, do financing, management, accounting, right? That's not regulated by them, right? So index manager is the brand, is our face majorly to the market. Do you get? That's our face to the market. You can come back and say, oh, we want to do business process. Do you get? Internal control, rejig, set up, right? We do all of those, right? So index manager is our face, right? But wherever we are to do any engagement that is statutory, right? So yeah, you see us using the name and style, Shola Kende. So that's it. So you can reach us on that. You can, our website is there, www.indexmanagers.com. Some of my colleagues are on this call. I can see them. All right, let me use them to take it to them. Right, they came to chair to join us. So right, so you can do anything. We are glad to give you free consultations. Do you get? We'll let you know, we dissect you, we give you guidance on how you can navigate your current position, and we'll be glad to do that. Really, especially when you are coming, just say okay, and you get something. When you say okay, I'm from SME Connect, SME Connect, right? We'll know that you're from our home, from a friend and a partner. So we'll definitely get I got more support. I could say that, right? I mean, yeah.
More support and discounts. More
Yeah, yeah,
support
that's
and
no. The
discounts.
most support is the discount. Yeah, the most support is the discount. Right. So we say, so okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
on behalf of my colleagues, so we
yes.
look at it and say, for anybody who is from here and you want to probably register a new business today, is I mean we put it at 40,000 naira, right? We'll do that for you. And averagely in the market, maybe from anywhere 50 and above is how you find it, right? And we don't just bring your name and say, and that's one thing that's different. We don't just bring your name and say, let me register. We also help you want to look at a business that can resonate to you in the market, that can be at times, even if you are bereft of, I don't even know what to do. So that's where our guidance come to it. You know, you don't just come to say, take this name. We look at it, and even at forming your article, your modus operandi in your article. So your taxes start from there. Your success start from there. Somebody has formed a company, and the company does not have borrowing power because he just gave it to somebody.
Mm,
In the memorandum,
mm.
the company does not have borrowing power, and that's what they put in the article. But
Wow.
you know, what I want versus what I got. So look at but yeah, but that's the quality you get. But we're saying anybody from here will give
Okay.
you will help you to ensure that, and will get you to
Great.
get your tax account right, and beyond that, when you come,
Great.
the other things
Great.
we're a one-stop shop. So that's it. That's it.
Please, sir, kindly repeat the email address one more time so that
So
our
TAX
audience can
tax.
get it.
So TAX tax at indexmanagers.com.ng. TAX at index as INDEX, right? Index, that's a index, right? Managers.com, com.ng, ng as in Nigeria, ng, right? So that's one. Then you can send to info, right? At index managers, indexmanagers.com.ng, right? So we have a couple of consultants that will see it. It's not just one person. About 5 to 6 people can get that email, and you get response. Just let us know what you want. You can book a physical meeting in the office. You can book an online meeting. We'll dissect, we'll look at the issues, and we'll give you the best of advice, right? So, and the last one
Great.
is my personal
Great.
email, aomiyale, that's Abiodun, aomiyale at indexmanagers.com.ng. So right, 0085897636,
Great.
right? So I'm your chief servant.
Great.
I'm on this
Great.
here to that's it.
Great. So we have come to the end of this session. I would like you to please take a minute to go and click on that thumbs up button and also click on that subscribe button. It is very important so that you can get to see more of this content come your way, more of these insightful webinars come your way. Even though if you have missed it, and you can still get notifications about it and be able to watch and improve your business. Thank you all for attending today's webinar on understanding the new tax bill for small businesses in Nigeria. We sincerely appreciate our facilitator, Mr. Omiale. Thank you so much for taking out time to do this. We know you're a very busy person, and we are
No,
very
this is what we
grateful that
can
you took out
do.
time to come and share your insights
We keep
to our
educating.
audience. Staying
We keep educating.
compliant, yeah, staying compliant is not just about avoiding penalties. It
Oh
is
yeah,
about building a stable, transparent, and scalable business.
it's a
We
journey
hope
too. It's a
on that,
journey.
yes, we
It's
do.
a journey.
Yes,
You
we do
can't do
hope
it
that
all
this
in one day.
insight that has been shared, yes, we do hope that this insight that have been shared today is going to help you to navigate the new roles with confidence and make informed decisions for your businesses. The tax environment may continue to evolve, but with the right knowledge and preparation, your business can thrive. Thank you once again.
Thank you all.
Have a
It was a good
productive
time
week
with you.
ahead.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.